Hello and welcome, or welcome back, as the case may be. I am Vervain, and this is my channel, and usually I make magic here, and I make art here, and I make art magic here, and things like that. But tonight I am coming at you with the second installment of Am I the Asshole? Witch Edition? Witch Edition. The last time I did this, I just searched AITA Reddit witchcraft, I think, and opened like a million bajillion tabs in Safari on my old phone. And I just haven't touched that since. So I read from like 3 of them last time, and I'm just going to keep going through. I just read enough of this one just to be sure that it wasn't one of the ones we already did. And other than that, I have no idea what's going on.
Witchcraft Edition.
Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my friend it is a shame his wife is not a witch? We're going to need some context here. Okay. I, female 25, was chilling with an old friend I hadn't seen in a while. Let's call him Jake, 26, catching up over a pint at the pub. Jake was telling me about how he recently got married, they eloped, so no guests, and how his wife, also 26, I think, is awesome but a bit wild and unconventional, and he is having trouble getting used to that. For reference, my friend comes from a somewhat conservative Catholic background. I don't know if he is a Christian himself. Sounds like you guys are real close if you don't even know his religion. I don't know if he is a Christian himself, but he's always been a bit uptight on these things, albeit respectful to those with different lifestyles. Live and let live kind of guy. I'm so confused why this guy has like married someone he's still just kind of getting used to, and why, I don't know. Okay. I have a lot of questions. So I'm going to keep reading and maybe some of my questions will be answered. Okay, now I'm a Wiccan. We are an unconventional religion, among other reasons, because we do our group rituals naked. This is relevant. Suffice to say, I like unconventional people. I didn't say any of this out loud, just asked him to elaborate, I guess, on the wife being a bit wild and unconventional. Just asked him to elaborate. It's also relevant to say that I don't talk about my religion much, so Jake doesn't know anything about Wicca, just that I am not Christian. You guys, it doesn't sound like you guys know each other very well at all, but okay, I'll trust that you're friends if you say so. To my surprise, he said one of the things bothering him a little is how she's totally fine with exposing herself to others. For example, she goes to spa with her friends and they don't wear clothes in the sauna, or she goes to the beach in the nudist areas with her girlfriends sometimes. This is not America, but that's okay. He said he isn't comfortable being naked himself in those spaces, so he hasn't accompanied her, but he is at a loss on how to talk to her about it and understand her better. He asked me if I had any ideas. Well, he didn't ask me if I had any ideas, but my idea is discuss these things before you get married. If these things are important to you, get on the same page. Get on the same page before you exchange the rings and the I do's and the vows and all those things and the okay. He asked me if I had any ideas. Here's where maybe my answer made me an asshole. I said, look, there's nothing wrong with feeling free to show off your body, and in this day and age, the only reason to feel insecure about it is Christian culture making us ashamed of our bodies. Back in the day, the women who were free to express themselves were called witches and burned at the stake, and it's a shame she's not a witch because she has the attitude of a witch down. I feel like, look, I am no history expert, but I feel like neither is our author here. He looked mildly upset at my remark and said his wife is not a witch. She'll never be a witch. She's a good woman. She just has a wild side, and he wants to talk to her about how to understand it. I said being a witch is not a bad thing, and he repeated with a slightly angry tone, my wife is not a witch. Stop saying she is a witch. I honestly was not expecting this reaction, and the raised voice scared me a bit, so I said, okay, and switched the topic. We kept discussing other stuff for a while, but I could tell he was still a little on edge. Before we parted ways, he said thanks for the conversation, said no worries, I hope you had a good time, and he made a small grimace and said, yeah. We waved to each other and went home. I keep thinking about our conversation, and I really appreciate Jake. He is an old friend. Did I say something inappropriate? Did I insult his wife somehow? I am a witch. I don't think it's a bad thing. I was trying to praise his wife for being countercultural and confident in herself. Am I the asshole? Asshole is a strong word, but I do think you're in the wrong here. It seems to me that we have an issue here of this woman, our author here, just choosing to express herself freely as if she was hanging out with somebody that she knew really well and who knew her really well. But this is not a person who knows her really well. And this is not a person that she knows really well. And so she's making some assumptions about how things are going to be taken. And look, however you want to communicate about yourself, like whatever. Okay, here let me put it this way. I understand, because I'm a witch and because in this Reddit post you have given me the context that you are a witch, dear author, that when you say this guy's wife has the attitude of a witch, that's a compliment coming from you, or at least not an insult. But it sounds like the guy that you're talking to here did not know that you were a witch, possibly still does not know that you were a witch, are a witch, doesn't have any context in which to, from which to understand that you think that being a witch is a good thing. Like, hasn't even had I think it would have been okay for you to say this, maybe, if you'd already had the conversation in which you come out to him about being a witch. But if you're not willing to come out yourself as a witch to this guy first and make sure that you're on the same page about like that being okay with him, which obviously like it doesn't matter if he approves or not, but for like how you choose to live your life, but it kind of does matter for like whether or not you guys continue to be friends. I don't know. I'm just like, what did you say? You said, I really appreciate Jake. He's an old friend. Well, it just doesn't sound like you guys know each other very well. Like, it doesn't sound like you're actually comfortable, like, telling him who you are. It sounds like you're trying to come out of the broom closet through his wife, which is not appropriate. I don't think you insulted his wife, but I can totally see how, given his background and his not knowing anything about your religious practices, how he could see that as an insult. Okay, let's go to the comments. I can tell you the commenters labeled this person an asshole. So let's see. Okay, what you said was not really useful and obviously confusing to him. You were obsessing about your religion instead of thinking of ways to help him to understand and communicate with her, which was a little bit selfish. Soft, you're the asshole. Yeah. Okay, I feel like this. Okay, let's read this one. As a secular pagan, you're the asshole. First of all, there are plenty of other reasons a person might be uncomfortable exposing themselves. You're an asshole for judging others as being poisoned by Christian mindsets when differing levels of comfort will always exist. I have non-religious friends who aren't comfortable getting changed around me. Valid. And Christian friends who will take a shower while chatting with me. Nothing wrong with either kind of friend. Secondly, blaming the entirety of Christianity for the actions of the Supreme Court. Wait, what? Is narrow-minded and naive. Did I miss something here? They aren't limiting human rights because they're Christian, or rather not just because they're Christian. They're limiting reproductive rights for the same person the atheist communists before them did in Europe. They want more people in the... What is happening here? Did this even come up in the post? Did I miss something? I don't even know. Okay. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Thirdly, you're promoting a whitewashed hashtag girl boss historical revisionism view of witches/witch trials. Yes, I doubt you've read up on actual historical witches, or else you would not reduce them to women who ran around naked. Yes. Historically, most women accused of witchcraft were not even witches. They were often Christians who tried to behave in line with their population, but for various reasons got accused of witchcraft. Those reasons that they got accused of witchcraft had much more to do with plain old sexism, racism, ableism, and other such bigotry than with them displaying witchy behavior. The mind immediately goes to the Salem witch trials, which started off with 2 teenage white girls accusing an enslaved woman of corrupting them to witchcraft to explain their weird behavior. And that enslaved woman then being tortured into confessing to witchcraft, which I hope I don't have to explain why that was absolute bullshit, and it's more likely she just said whatever the torturers wanted to hear to get the pain to stop. It's been scientifically proven that's what happens when you torture people into confessing, and that it's an ineffective method of getting actual, legitimate information out of people. Ignoring the political, local, and historical context of these incidents is doing a disservice to the people who were victims of torture and execution, not to mention spreading misinformation and applying a modern lens to these brutal incidents. Overall, you were the asshole to your friend for reducing his concerns to narrow-minded behavior instead of extending a kinder, more nuanced approach, and you were a further asshole to the pagan community by espousing more misinformation about what witchcraft is and isn't. Okay, upvote. Oh, I can't upvote. It's an expired thread. Okay, here's what I want to say about this. I don't want to like generalize too much, but cue generalization. Whenever we as humans get into something that's new to us that we're excited about, we can have a tendency to view like everything else that's happening in our lives through the lens of that thing that we're excited about, that's fresh to us. And I feel like this happens more often with paganism and witchcraft than it does with a lot of other things. One, because just statistically, most people practicing paganism and witchcraft today have come to it like during the either like during their young adulthood or adulthood. Like it's something that you came to. It's very rare that people are like raised in a witchcraft tradition. It happens. It does happen, but the vast majority of people who are witches today have like come across it when they were like there's going to be a point where it's new to you. Like there are very few people who are like born witches, raised witches, and like witchcraft is just always like the way that you live. Most of us who practice witchcraft or Wicca or paganism or whatever are going to have this phase in our life where it's new to us and we're experiencing the whole world through it. And because it's a religion, or yeah, it's a religion, let's just say, to simplify things. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's something like a religion. It really does, like, absolutely everything can be seen through that lens. But not everything should be seen through that lens. And it's often not a good idea to apply that lens that is, maybe so transformative for you to the lives of other people around you who are not having that experience, who are not going through that transformation or initiation or whatever. And even if, like this person may have already been a witch, practicing witchcraft, whatever, for a number of years, but some part of them, I feel like, is still in that like honeymoon phase where they're thinking about it like a lot, and like seeing everything through the lens of Wicca, witchcraft, so on. And that's okay. Like it's okay. It's very exciting to go through that. I'm going to call that an initiatory phase. And we can go through that with all sorts of things that we come across that are new to us and exciting to us and change and shift our perspective and our worldview. But sometimes that's just for you and maybe like your very closest friends. And it sounds like Jake is not one of your very closest friends. He didn't even know that you were a witch, which either means that you guys really don't know each other very well, or that, you said it had been a while and you were catching up, that this like turn to witchcraft is very recent for you, like has happened since the last time you hung out with Jake. And so you choosing to see and then communicate about Jake's wife through the lens of like your own excitement about your religion is not helpful in this context. And as this other person said, while you may be very excited about Wicca, it does not sound like you're very educated on the history of witchcraft and the burning times and so on. So just something to note. And you know what? That's all that I'm going to say about that one. So let's just, I don't want to exit out of it because I'll link it in the description below. So let's go to the next one. Okay. Oh no, this post was deleted. I wonder, let's try the Wayback Machine. I want to read it. Ha 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 ha. Okay, so I've gone to the Wayback Machine to read this post. And it has a snapshot of it 1 minute after it's posted. So if there were later edits, sorry, I don't have them. But I'll go back to the comments on the actual URL later. Okay. Am I the asshole for calling out a witchy girl for pushing her ethnocentric beliefs on others? I've been friends with this witchcraft group online for a long time. To be clear, I'm talking about witchy stuff or witchcraft as a whole, not the religion Wicca, which is separate. People often get them confused. I grew up in a community with a strong spiritual tradition that has ties to stuff like hoodoo, voodoo, etc. A lot of it is passed down through the community or families. One of the girls in my group, Dee, is really into tarot reading and protection spells and things like that. The big group were all chatting, and Dee was explaining to another girl some of the rules of witchcraft. The new girl had joked about wanting to basically do something against a woman she works with. Dee started talking about this thing called the threefold law, where you're not supposed to do any kind of witchcraft that would harm someone, otherwise it'll come back to you. I chimed in saying that was just a rule for some type of witchcraft practices, but that it's not something all paths follow. I gave an example stating that with something like hoodoo, there is no such law or rule. Dee was like,
that isn't true at all, and no real witch would ever do anything to harm someone like that.
This girl's a bitch. Okay, sorry, bitch is a strong word. Okay. I told her that was a very ethnocentric way of looking at witchcraft, and that while that might be true for more white European-based witchcraft practices, that's not even true. But okay, we'll get to that in a second. Different systems rose from different cultural needs. I specified that I thought this could be important because the woman who just joined us is a Southern Black woman, so it's possible that when she started asking about witchcraft, maybe she already had root work in mind. Dee kept getting angrier and angrier at me, telling me that I was way off base, had no idea what the hell I was talking about, etc., etc., etc. I ended up pulling some information from books and websites that basically share stories of how Black women used hoodoo/root work in the South, and stories of things like graveyard dirt, etc. The conversation fizzled, and later on, Dee told me how she doesn't appreciate me correcting her, how it was arrogant and mean of me, and how telling people things like that are what helps continue the stereotypes of witchcraft being used for evil when it's used for good. I told her that she just needed to expand her worldview a little bit and understand that not all witches come from the same perspective. Am I the asshole? No, you're not the asshole. Okay, I have so many things to say about this, but I don't think it'll take me very long to say them. You're not the asshole, but also it's not like certain ethnicities like believe in the threefold law and certain ethnicities don't. The threefold law is a Wiccan concept. There are other similar concepts, I'm sure, in other religions and philosophies, but the threefold law, that like what you put out comes back to you times three, both blatantly disregards the law of conservation of energy, and also is a Wiccan concept. And Wicca is like such a small modern segment of even like white European witchcraft. And to say that like white European witchcraft may believe this, or like white Eurocentric witchcraft may believe this, but not all witchcraft does, is actually like a misrepresentation of white Eurocentric witchcraft. Um, Also, like to even say like Eurocentric witchcraft, like Italian witchcraft is so different. Like Stregoria is so different from British traditional witchcraft, is so different from so many other things. So, just putting that out there first. Okay. Second thing is, yeah, this girl who you told off has no idea what she's talking about. Like, there are some things that it seems like you don't fully understand about witchcraft, but there's this is somebody who, look, I wish her all the best, okay? She just wants to believe that she's on the good team, and that's okay. But here's the thing, witchcraft, and this can get confusing because, like, I would, for example, say that witchcraft is my religion. I would also say that witchcraft is not a religion. I think that both of those things can be true. Witchcraft is not a religion in the sense that, like, you can't, like, Google it and find a list of, like, the beliefs and practices that define witchcraft as a religion that all people who practice witchcraft or believe in witchcraft are going to follow and agree on. One of the things that witches are most famous for is not agreeing on things. Specifically, not agreeing on what witchcraft is and how it should be used. And all this to say, witchcraft is a practice, and it can be used for a multitude of ends. And it can be used for what some might call good, and it can be used for what some might call evil, and what some might call good. You know, one man's good is another man's evil. One man's evil is another man's good. I think, you know, there are some things that I would like to believe we could all agree were good, and some things that I would like to believe we could all agree were evil. But if we could all agree on what was good and what was evil, would we not have world peace? Um, you know, I think I think these questions are much more complex and divisive than I'd like to believe, than most of us would like to believe. Um, so yeah, you're not the asshole, but you are probably, well, I don't know if you're wasting your time. It doesn't seem like this other girl is really like open to learning things. Okay, let's go back to the Reddit where this post was deleted, and let's check out some of these comments. Okay. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. D is kind of a big personality and sees herself as a leader in our witchcraft group, even though we don't really have leaders or a hierarchy in place. It might have hurt her to be talked down to, like she thinks I was, or corrected in front of the new person. Yeah, well, if she wants to be a leader, she needs to educate herself, and she needs to learn how to take constructive corrections with grace. Okay, here's the top comment, not the asshole. You are absolutely correct that magic practitioners come from all different backgrounds with different beliefs and different practices. What works for you may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for you, etc. It sounds like you corrected an untrue statement. D likely felt bad for being corrected in front of someone else. I suppose I can understand why she would feel hurt. However, I hope D learns to refrain from making statements like that in the future. I guess I feel like if D, like, it seems like D has her own, like, it seems like D is Wiccan, frankly. And it seems like Dee thinks that she is in a Wiccan community, or that like all modern witches are Wiccans, and that all witches who aren't Wiccans are like part of what's giving witches a bad name these days. And I think that's not true. I think that witches who are Wiccan can also be a big part of giving witches a bad name these days. I think we all participate in this as a team. And okay, but in all seriousness, it seems like Dee like thinks that she's on like a Wiccan, it's like a Discord or whatever. But she's not. She's in like a general witchcraft forum or server or whatever. And she just needs to understand that or maybe just possibility, OP, is it possible that like you think you're in a general witchcraft server because it's labeled that way, but you're actually like in a Wiccan server and you just haven't realized you're the odd one out? I don't know. I just pose this as a possible possibility. Okay. Do 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 do. Okay. I want to go to another top level comment. Here we go. Okay, not the asshole. I feel like a lot of young girls, white girls mostly, I don't know this person's race though, get into witchcraft like crystals and tarot because it's fun and interesting, and then like to claim they're an authority on witchy things. The reality is, magic has roots in different cultures all over the world, and there's no right way to build your craft. I think you did the right thing calling her out. She needs to expand her worldview and be aware of other cultures. It's very insensitive of her to claim hoodoo and voodoo are bad because they don't suit her idea of magic. I mean, Dee like totally has a right to believe that hoodoo and voodoo are bad. I don't think she has a right to be like proselytizing her beliefs about that in a place that's like known and stated to be open to multiple witchcraft paths, assuming that that's what this place is. And also just about like the correcting her in public thing, like if she's giving wrong information in a public forum, the only appropriate the only appropriate and effective way to correct that is in that same public forum. Like, because it seems like this is the sort of thing, like, if it was like she said this to another person, like in person, one on one, and you overheard it, then you could, talk to each person individually afterwards and be like, hey, I know Dee said this, but like, actually, that's only the case in some practices, and this is the case in other practices. And then you could also take Dee aside and be like, hey, I heard you saying blah, 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 but actually, blah, blah, blah. But it seems like this is like in an online context, this is like a public, like not public necessarily, but like a chat room or a forum or something where there's a record of the conversation. And so, if you like DM them privately afterward and correct them both, you're still leaving that actually wrong information in a place where other new members can see it in the future. I'm assuming that this is like Discord or something, because that's how I have a Discord for Oil Coven, and that's how it works, is that like any conversation that we have in the Oil Coven Discord is still there when new people join the Discord later. So if there's like wrong information getting passed around, it's important that that gets corrected in that conversation, or even like deleted and replaced with something that's true. Because I know also like there are people who they'll search for something and then they'll just see the first answer and they'll be like, oh, this is the answer. And so if your corrections are like after that first wrong answer, they may never get to the corrections. So I don't know, these are the things that I think about. I don't think you're the asshole. Moving on to the next one. That was worth the Wayback Machine, I think. Okay. I think we can do 3 tonight. Okay. Maybe even 4. Am I the asshole? Oh, this is on our baby witch. Am I the asshole for not wanting to break up with my girlfriend because she's a witch? Okay. I don't know if you're the asshole, but you might be a coward. Okay. Sorry. A little bit of background. My girlfriend is into witchcraft, and a friend of mine doesn't agree with her ways. Oh, okay, wait. I read this as, am I the asshole for not wanting to break up with my girlfriend because she's a witch? As in, like, I would want to break up with my girlfriend, but since she's a witch, I'm scared to, or I don't want to, because, like, witchcraft? What if she does revenge witchcraft on me? That's what I read from the title. I think what they're actually saying, based on this first line here, is other people think that I should break up with my girlfriend because she's a witch, but I don't want to break up with my girlfriend. Okay, so with that ambiguity in the air, let's read this. Okay, a little bit of background. My girlfriend is into witchcraft, and a friend of mine doesn't agree with her ways. So, a friend of 10 years decided to try and set me up on a blind date after finding out that my new girlfriend is into witchcraft. So I told him, fuck off, we're no longer friends because I'm happy with my girlfriend. He calls her names like evil to even fatty. Wow, okay. But I don't care that she's chubby because she's beautiful the way she is. He's calling me an asshole because I ended our friendship because of him both trying to set me up on a blind date, and he lied to the girl by saying that I was single. So am I really the asshole here? No. Just no. Um, no. You're not the asshole. You're actually pretty honorable. Based on this teeny tiny split second snapshot of your life, I'm going to go with actually you're quite honorable. You're setting and enforcing a healthy boundary, and I like you. But this is in the Our Baby Witch subreddit, and the top comment is, first off, I think you're lost. You're looking for the Am I the Asshole subreddit. Second off, I don't understand what's going on. Do you love her or just don't want to leave because she's a witch? Okay. Yeah, I think they were experiencing the same title confusion I was. Okay. Not the asshole. I'm sorry that you lost a friend of 10 years, though, despite him being a manipulative asshole. What other people think about you isn't what's important. It's about what you think about yourself. This is, we're experiencing a little bit of a problem because this was in the Baby Witch subreddit and not in the Am I the Asshole subreddit. Okay, yeah, thank you. This person agrees with me. The way you phrased this was strange. You make it sound like you refuse to break up with her out of fear that she's a witch, but that's not what you mean. The issue is, are you the asshole for telling your friend to fuck off for trying to sabotage your relationship? I mean, obviously, no one is going to say no based on that. Is it literally only because of the witchcraft, or does he think there's a character flaw which he attributes to witchcraft? It's clear you love your girlfriend and you know you're doing the right thing. I don't really understand why you're looking for validation unless you feel guilt for cutting off your friend. The best thing I can tell you is you should feel proud of sticking up for your relationship and sleep peacefully and with no regrets. If you can't at any point, it wouldn't be bad to revisit this friendship with the boundary that he apologizes to your girlfriend and maintains respect for your relationship. Okay, no. He does not need to apologize to your girlfriend because he does not ever need to interact with your girlfriend ever. Um, if I was your girlfriend, and I don't know, maybe your girlfriend feels differently. If I was your girlfriend, I would really appreciate you enforcing the boundary of this asshole never gets to look upon my beautiful witchy face. Also, I just want to say here, this sounds like this is written by a guy, and that this friend that he's lost here is a guy. And from having observed guy on guy friendships in the past, and in the present, I continue to observe them because they continue to um, amaze me. They seem to be, like, by and large, the result of convenience. I don't mean this as an insult. It's actually, like, very inspiring how, like, it seems like you can kind of just, like, put two dudes in a room, and unless one of them is, like, offensive to the other, they can become friends pretty quickly. And then they can stay friends for a really long time without ever actually having any substantial conversations, and can consider themselves friends for a very long time, even when they don't speak to each other for very, very, very long stretches of time. And, like, I have a couple girlfriends that I feel like, we can go like a year or more without talking. And then when we talk again, it's just like it was when we left. But I've also had really friendships with other girls where, other women, I guess, where, like, you have a habit of talking a certain amount of time, and then some time goes by and you haven't talked, and you're like, I get the feeling there's something wrong here. And, like, guys, in my experience, don't do that. Like, if guys talk every day for 6 months and then don't talk at all for 6 months, there's no suspicion that, like, something's wrong. I did something wrong. He's mad at me. It's just like, oh, we were going in different directions then. Oh, fuck. Okay, my gimbal died, so we're here. I was getting kind of long winded there about the guy on guy friendships. But what I'm trying to say is that even though this is a 10-year long friendship, it sounds to me like there is a possibility that while you guys may have spent a lot of time together, you don't actually know each other very well, as in, like, you don't actually know each other's values very well. And it seems to me that, like, there's a possibility that this relationship, this friendship, survived for 10 years based on it was, like, more convenient for it to survive than for it to not. And now you finally hit upon something where um, the other guy was being a friggin' asshole, and you had to set a boundary and enforce it. And that's totally reasonable. And it sounds like if you're losing this friendship over that, like, people in the comments are like, oh, it's really sad that you're losing this friendship of 10 years. I'm just saying, I feel like there's a chance that this might not be like, oh, this is like my best buddy. We've been so close for 10 years. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do without this friend in my life. I feel like there's a chance that this is just some guy you've known for 10 years and that it's going to be okay. And knowing what I know about guys, you can make a better friend just by putting yourself in a location with a better guy and talking to him, and then doing that over and over again. I should just cut out this whole section about guy on guy friendships because it probably sounds really reductive and really, what's the word for the opposite of misogynistic? It's not. I love men. It might be reductive. But all I can say is You're not the asshole. Okay. We can definitely do one more. Okay, I'll read this to you. But just, okay. Here's the title. Am I the asshole for calling my sister-in-law a disgusting witch? Yes. Okay, I'm just going to go with yes because there's only, without reading the story, and I will read the story, but without reading the story, I feel like there's only two possibilities here. Possibility one, the person that they're calling a disgusting witch is actually a fine person, is not disgusting at all, and is being treated very unfairly, and is or isn't a witch, and therefore this is disrespectful to that person. Or possibility two, and it could be both, is that this person that they're calling a disgusting witch is actually a horrible person and deserves to be called horrible things, if somebody can deserve to be called horrible things, which might be, I don't know. But calling them a disgusting witch is an insult to witches, not just to this person. Okay, but let's read it. The tag is not the asshole, so the people think it's not the asshole. Let's see. You are a disgusting. Oh, bitch. It says B word. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, so here's the thing. Actually, not the asshole. She didn't even call her a witch. She called her a bitch. That's fine. Not insulting to witches. Has nothing to do with witches or witchcraft. I'm closing that one, and I might just cut that one out. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Am I the asshole for having a witch house? Yeah, so this also has nothing to do with witchcraft. Okay, so I just read through two that had like witch in the title and then didn't have anything to do with witches and witchcraft. So I might delete those. So let's read another one. Am I the asshole for judging my friend's decision on witchcraft? Basically, I have two friends who have recently decided that they're highly interested in witchcraft. They want to own crystals, cast spells, etc. I told them that I thought they were being kind of stupid about it since they were threatening to curse some guy in our grade because he thought it was dumb. They want to use it to also curse people, and one of my friends believes she's getting a blessing from a god in witchcraft to get her geometry grades up. I usually really don't like to judge people for their interests, but I guess that's what I'm doing now. I don't know. I guess I just got annoyed by the fact they were saying they were going to curse me for not joining them, which made me tell them that I think they're being stupid. Am I the asshole? Well, here's what I will say. Witchcraft is not stupid, but you can be interested in witchcraft and be stupid about it. And if you told these girls they were being stupid, you were right. And that's okay. They have every right as teenage girls to be going through this phase. Here's our top comment. Not no assholes here. Every teenage girl goes through her try to raise the dead phase. Y'all be laughing about this on your girls trip in 10 years. No assholes here. As everyone says, it tends to be a phase. Also remind them of the rule of three. Any spell they cast will come back to them threefold. Do they really want 3 times cursed mojo coming back at them just because a boy is being weird? Okay, so I exactly agree with this. So somebody is like, oh, the threefold law is just Wiccan. And the person who posted to like tell them about the rule of three then says, true, but the girls probably don't know that. Cackle. Not the asshole. It's a truth that most baby witches go through a power fantasy phase, and these kids don't seem to be any different. They'll figure out that cursing people isn't really about witchcraft, but about TV craft. Point out to them that any practitioner will tell them the energy. No, okay. All right. We've got some Wiccans here, which is fine. But like, what is it with Wiccans and thinking that it really is a thing that like Wiccans are like, not all Wiccans, but there really is a pattern of a lot of Wiccans, especially a lot of vocal Wiccans, thinking that like Wiccan ethics and beliefs apply to all of witchcraft. And it's very irritating because it does make it very hard as a newbie, as a beginner, like looking for information. It makes it very hard to sift through information and tell like what ideas belong to what set of beliefs, and like what ideas are like, what things are like true and real and what things are like just somebody's opinion. I don't know. And most things in witchcraft are kind of just somebody's opinion, even if they have historical basis. So there's that. Yeah, the other thing I was gonna say is that like they can try to curse you, but I think it seems like you are probably immune to their curses. One, probably because they probably don't know how to actually curse anyone. And two, because you just seem really like secure in your own energy, which makes you difficult to curse. So that's good. Should we do one more? Ooh. Okay. Am I the asshole? I pretended to hex him and he took it serious. A month ago, I started dating this guy. I didn't expect anything serious, but we hit it off really good, and he told me he wanted to explore how deep our connection could go, and things got serious really fast. Ever since then, we've gone on 2 trips he paid for, fun dates, and fell for each other really fast, or so I thought. He told me he loved me multiple occasions and said I was the person he wanted to marry, and that he can't wait for me to meet his family and for us to start a family, etc. This whole time, I'm feeling the exact same way and thinking he's being genuine and real because I felt the same way too. I was completely blindsided when he randomly switched up on me and sent me a text saying he's not over his ex and isn't ready for anything serious and that he can't commit to me. At this point, we had both posted each other on social media, and I told my family and friends about him. He ended the text with asking me to put his glasses he left out on my porch so he could pick them up. Me, being very angry that I was lied to every day and invested my real feelings into this man, decided it would be funny to make a fake hex and attach it to his glasses to freak him out. So I did, and I'll attach photos. For context, his ex was a witch, and he told me he was nice to her because he's scared of her. I used to dabble in witchcraft myself, so I already had everything handy to make a fake hex. Anyway, I ended up texting him telling him it was fake and that I genuinely loved him and wanted to be cool, and he replied back saying, "That was some weird ass shit, don't ever hit me up again." I'll post a screenshot of the message I sent too. I thought it would be funny to give him a little scare, and I thought he deserved it and would have handled it a lot better, but not even close, so am I the asshole? Okay, OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. The action I took that should be judged is pretending to hex someone who wronged me, and the reason this might make me an asshole is because it freaked him out more than I expected. Okay. I need... Did she ever actually add the screenshots and stuff? Because I don't see them. There are no photos. There are no screenshots. So, sorry guys. Okay, as usual in Am I the Asshole, there's a lot of people making fun of witchcraft. Like we get our top comment here is info, what's the difference between a hex and a fake hex? And then someone saying, I was just thinking that a fake hex is a bit redundant. Okay, so here is what I would say. I think this guy was a lost cause regardless. Please don't take this personally, but it sounds like he like threw himself really hard into your relationship as a way of like trying to get over his old relationship and like trying to convince himself he was over the old relationship, and like not to say he didn't actually really like you, like he probably did, but he probably had some extra enthusiasm fueled by wanting to, by like rebounding from this old relationship, for lack of a better word. That's a pretty good word, actually. So I don't know that there's like any like right move you could have made here necessarily to get what you want. But this was definitely not it. If there was a right move, this was definitely not the right move. Pretending to hex someone is probably something that you should only do in like maximum 2 scenarios, right? One scenario is with someone that you legitimately don't like and you would legitimately hex them, but maybe you don't believe in like actual hexing, and so fake hexing is like your second best or whatever, or like you just want to like prank someone that you legitimately don't like. But the thing about like hexes and curses or whatever is that like even if you don't actually hex or curse someone, so to speak, like even if you don't like put all of the energy and intention and care into performing like an actual curse or hex, if you create the impression to a susceptible person that they have been cursed or hexed, it's almost as good. It's very difficult to curse or hex someone who like isn't willing to submit to such a thing. Like if their energy is really strong and their boundaries are really strong, it's going to be very difficult to curse or hex them. If somebody is very susceptible to that sort of thing, for example, is already like scared to leave a relationship with somebody else because they're a witch, this person sounds like they're very susceptible to curses and hexes, by which I mean that even just believing that they've been hexed or cursed could be enough to basically create the effects of a hex or curse on them. Like they basically can like curse themselves by believing that they've been cursed by you. And you should have known that. I think I can say that. You should have known that. And like the only other possible scenario that I can think of for like an okay time to fake hex somebody is like your best friend ever who you know for an absolute fact is not going to take it seriously, and like you also know that like they're not susceptible to believing in that shit. Like they're not gonna like take it personally and let it affect them and like let it keep them up at night wondering if like, wait, did she really curse me? um and you know that like, and there's like nothing wrong between you guys when you're doing it, like you're on super good terms, and so there's no reason to even think that there might be anything wrong. So here, this person says, okay, not the asshole, but you could have handled it better. For what it's worth, I totally get it. And yes, you didn't work the spell, but you also knew he was susceptible and fearful. What you did was manipulate him in response to being angry and hurt. You already kind of know it wasn't the best move, or you wouldn't be here, lol. Random advice from an old crone: work some releasing spells to bring yourself back to a level and healthy place, and try not to spend too much time looking back, but forward. Yeah, can I upvote that, or is it dead? I think it's dead. Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, whether you're the asshole here or not, I don't know, because it does seem like I don't know, like, if I don't know if you're an asshole or not, but if you thought that the actions that you took here had any chance at all of like helping you get this guy back, I'm not sure. Like, it's hard to say what you wanted here. Like, did you want revenge because you feel like he wronged you, or did you want to like convince him to come back to you? Because I'm kind of getting both of those messages from you. And if you wanted revenge, it sounds like you didn't really get it. Which, I don't know. I'm not really a revenge girly, so that's fine. But if you wanted him back, this was absolutely not the way to do it. But also, I think he was a lost cause anyway. But if you were going to try, this was not the thing to try. And I don't think you have any right at all to be like surprised that he didn't take that well. Okay. Here, someone says, everyone sucks here. He sucks way more than you, but you probably shouldn't have planted the fake hex. Yeah, I don't know. Is this okay? Is this a hot take or not? You tell me. Actually hexing him would have been better than pretending to hex him. Because I feel like you're just like, you're so halfway in. You're so halfway in, halfway out. You're so 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, you can't decide what you want. And so you're like half-assing things and then being upset that you didn't get the results that you wanted when the actions that you took did not align in any way, shape, or form with the results that you wanted. Like, you have these feelings of like anger and bitterness and resentment where you kind of want revenge, but then you also have these feelings of like, I really wanted this relationship to work out and I kind of want him back. And then you acted on the revenge instinct in like a really half-assed way, and then we're mad that he didn't want to come back. I just want to see your actions align with your desires, okay? If you want revenge, get your revenge. uh, whether that stains your mortal soul is between you and God, not between you and me. um but if you want things to be good between you, don't go the revenge route. Duh. All right, we're done here. Thanks for joining me this evening. Sorry for the weird change in lighting and framing and everything. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's good. Maybe we like it. Let me know if you want me to do more of these. I definitely have more of these to read. I was a little disappointed by the two that had witch in the title and then didn't actually have anything to do with witchcraft. But, all's well that ends well. So, anyhow, like, subscribe, let me know who is the asshole and who is not according to you in the comments below. I want to hear all of your opinions on this, and I'll see you in the next one. So, until then, be well, seek beauty, and leave a little magic wherever you go. Bye.